In the past, we've told stories about islands closed off because of poisonous snakes, anthrax, or plague. But this time, it's different. In this video, we'll show you two places where isolation has an entirely different nature, rooted in culture and human choice. One island is carefully maintained and privately owned, while the other is wild and openly hostile to any outsiders. These are Niʻihau in Hawaii and North Sentinel in the Indian Ocean, two worlds that have consciously rejected contact with the outside. Niihau Island is located 27 kilometers southwest of Kauai. It is the smallest of the inhabited Hawaiian islands and one of the most isolated places in the United States. Its area is about 180 square kilometers, and the population does not exceed 100 people. The island is separated from the outside world, not only by the ocean, but also by an artificially created informational and physical barrier, established in the 19th century. In 1864, the island was purchased by Scottish missionary and aristocrat Elizabeth Sinclair from King Kamehameha V of Hawaii for $10,000 in gold. Under the terms of the agreement, Sinclair promised to preserve the traditional Hawaiian way of life on the island. Ownership was inherited by her descendants, and to this day Niʻihau belongs to the Robinson family, heirs of Elizabeth Sinclair. They own the island in its entirety as private property and, in practice, exercise administrative control over it. After Elizabeth's death, the island was passed down to her son, and later to his descendants. In the 20th century, authority on Niʻihau was fully controlled by brothers Aubrey and Lester Robinson, who established a strict isolation policy, banning outsiders from staying on the island without special permission. In 1915, a decision was made to impose complete restrictions on access. Only certain Hawaiians with family roots on Niʻihau, members of the Robinson family, and select government officials were allowed to be on the island. One of the most famous historical events associated with Niʻihau is the so-called Niʻihau Incident, which took place in December 1941, just days after the attack on Pearl Harbor. Japanese pilot Shigenori Nishikaichi, whose plane was damaged during the assault, crash-landed on Niʻihau. At first, the locals treated him neutrally, but events quickly escalated when two residents of Japanese descent attempted to hide him. The incident ended in a violent confrontation in which the pilot was killed, and one of the local residents also lost his life. This episode deepened mistrust toward Japanese Americans on the U.S. mainland and influenced the decision to intern them during World War II. Today, the island remains under the ownership of Robinson descendants, brothers Bruce and Keith Robinson. They strictly uphold the vow of their ancestors to preserve Niʻihau's traditional way of life. The outside world has almost no access to the island's inner community. There are no roads, power grids, hospitals, or supermarkets. Tourists are only allowed on specially organized excursions, such as one-day helicopter trips to the coastline, without the possibility of interacting with local residents. Niʻihau remains one of the last places in the world where private ownership is combined with real territorial control and isolation from modern civilization. North Sentinel Island is located in the Bay of Bengal and belongs to India's Andaman and Nicobar Islands. It covers an area of about 60 kilometers with a length and width of approximately 8x7 kilometers, featuring a jungle-covered interior and narrow beaches along its edges. Approaching closer than 5 nautical miles from the shore has been prohibited since 1956 under Indian government regulations, which protect both the tribe and the island from external threats. The island is inhabited by the Sentinelese tribe, hunter-gatherers who have likely lived here for over 60,000 years. Their population is estimated at between 50 and 200 people. Their language and beliefs remain completely unknown, but it is clear they are animists and, to put it mildly, highly hostile toward outsiders. The first recorded mention of contact dates back to 1771, when a ship of the British East India Company noticed lights on the shore but did not dare land. In 1867, a merchant who ended up on the island after a shipwreck was struck by arrows. In 1880, British officer Maurice Portman abducted 6 islanders. 2 adults soon died, while the children were returned with gifts. And likely diseases, which deepened the tribe's mistrust of foreigners. Between 1967 and 1996, Indian anthropologists led by T.N. Pandit made attempts to establish contact. In 1991, a rare peaceful moment was documented. The Sentinelese approached the shore to take coconuts and pieces of iron offered to them. However, in 1974 and throughout the 1980s, such visits ended in arrows and warning shots. Since 1996, all attempts at contact have been officially abandoned. In 2004, after the tsunami, the government carried out aerial surveys, but even aircraft were perceived as a threat. The Sentinelese responded defensively. In 2006, 2 fishermen who drifted too close to the island were killed by arrows. The most infamous incident was the death of American missionary John Allen Chow, who illegally approached the island in 2018 in an attempt to convert the Sentinelese. He was killed by arrows. In March 2025, a 24-year-old American YouTuber, Mikhailo Polyakov, landed on the island, leaving behind a can of Coca-Cola and a coconut, but was immediately arrested upon his return to the mainland. The Indian government classifies the Sentinelese as a particularly vulnerable indigenous group under the Scheduled Tribe protection. Not only is approaching the island forbidden, but so are photographing or filming the tribe. Most violations are strictly punished. The surrounding waters are patrolled by the Navy and Coast Guard. To this day, no outsiders are permitted access, not even for humanitarian aid. The policy of observe but do not interfere is maintained to protect the tribe's health. Since 1996, the Indian government has never attempted renewed contact, and international human rights organizations support this stance. Niihau and North Sentinel reveal just how different isolation can be. One exists under the rules of private ownership and tradition, while the other lives beyond any rules, in untamed wilderness. Yet they share one thing: both shut the outside world out. This is no accident, but a deliberate choice, a way of protecting themselves from civilization, and sometimes even from us. If you found this interesting, give it a like. Share your thoughts in the comments about which forbidden places you'd like to learn about next. And don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss new stories.